Hi there, my name is Dylan Sanders, and I am a 5-year veteran of MUN.
And my name is Junzhe Koh, and I am a 3rd-year veteran of MUN.
We are here today on behalf of the SMIC Private Schools MUN program to talk about the rules of procedure regarding the Hague Model United Nations, or as you may know it, THIMUN. Okay, let's get started.
Model United Nations stimulates the diplomatic discourse and negotiations between nations and delegates from all around the world. However, due to the messy nature of politics and negotiations, it is essential to establish the rule procedures to maintain peace and efficiency throughout debates.
From the most basic value of respect to the more distinct rules of the UN, the rules of procedure applies to everyone in the committee. And it is your obligation and responsibility to follow it in the most courteous manner possible. Let's start off with some of the simpler rules.
1. All delegates must communicate in 3rd person. For instance, if I'm delegating the Russian Federation, I will refer to myself as this delegate, the delegate of Russia, or simply Russia. With context, this will sound something like, Russia wholeheartedly supports the proposal made by the People's Republic of China. Notice the way I address the delegate of China formally in 3rd person rather than simply calling out his or her name in an uncourteous manner.
Second, all delegates must not engage in a direct conversation with another delegate. Throughout the session, delegates may only communicate privately through note passing. Be mindful that all notes must be handed to the admin staff prior to delivery. Thus, it is crucial to always keep the notes formal and respectful. On the other hand, if a delegate wishes to communicate with another delegate verbally, during the debate by asking a follow-up question, he or she must first address their intention to the chair by asking follow-up. The delegate may proceed to his question only if the chair agrees by replying granted. In another scenario, if a delegate simply wishes for another delegate to speak with a louder voice, they must direct their concern to the chair by asking, may the chair ask the delegate to speak with a louder voice, for example.
In MUN, there are 2 distinct models of MUN, THIMUN and UNA-USA MUN. The 2 have slightly different rules of procedures, but since most of the conferences within Shanghai and Asia adopts the THIMUN version, this video shall address just that.
The general procedure of any conference shall follow this sequence: roll call, opening speech, caucusing, presenting draft resolutions, debate and amendments, and lastly, voting.
As the session begins, the chairs will request the committee to come to order and subsequently proceed with roll call. The chairs will call out the delegations in an alphabetical order, and delegates shall reply with either present or present and voting. If a delegate chooses to answer with present and voting, he or she are not allowed to abstain when voting for amendments and resolutions. Or in other terms, they must either vote for or against it. A session can only begin when the quorum is reached, meaning 1/3 of all delegates must be present for the debate to begin.
In the first session of the conference, opening speeches will be presented by each delegate in alphabetical order, subsequent to the roll call. Opening speeches are a great opportunity to introduce your country's stance and the problems you're the most concerned with. These factors will play a crucial role when choosing who to work with during caucusing. As a result, please remain conscious and alert throughout all the speeches, despite how lengthy or tedious it may be.
Next up is caucusing. As mentioned before, it is to your best benefit to choose an ally nation or any delegation with a similar stance as you do, to draft a resolution in a more efficient manner and mitigate possible conflicts throughout this process. During this time, electronic devices will be permitted for use as delegates begin to share and merge their resolutions into one they all agree upon. Only during caucusing are delegates allowed to move around the committee and speak freely to other delegates. It should be your best interest to plan out the roles of each delegate in your group and discuss the overall strategy to convince others during the debate. Finally, the elected main submitter of your group will submit the resolution to the advisory panel, where the MUN directors of the conference will help revise and give suggestions on your resolution.
When all the resolutions are approved and printed out, the main submitter of each group shall present their draft resolution to the committee by reading the operative clauses in addition to a 3-minute main submitter speech. The speech should introduce and provide a brief mechanism of the solutions proposed whilst attempting to convince the committee to submit and vote for your resolution.
In the Security Council specifically, a resolution will compose of a main submitter of each operative clause alongside a main submitter for the entire resolution as a whole. As a result, resolutions in the Security Council will be debated clause by clause rather than the entire resolution as a whole.
After a speech is given, the chair will ask, is the delegate open to any points of information? You have multiple ways of answering this question depending on how confident you are. The standard answer is any and all, meaning that you're willing to answer however many POIs raised from the committee at the time. Otherwise, you may resort to a specific amount, such as 3 pertaining to the speech, or even none, though we highly discourage you to choose none.
Following your speech or replies, you will have the option to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate. Yielding the floor allows delegates to pass the chance to talk at the podium without a random selection by the chairs. Thus, floor yielding is an excellent strategy to grasp as it allows your allies and supporters to speak for your resolution directly after you, enhancing the persuasion and professionalism of your solutions.
However, delegates may not yield the floor to a second degree, meaning that the delegate you choose to yield to may not have the option to yield to another delegate of their choice.
After the presentation of the draft resolution, the committee will move on to the main debate on the resolution. During this time, delegates are highly encouraged to give speeches supporting, opposing, or submit amendments to improve the current resolution.
Be mindful of your country's interests and stance on the debating issue, as you cannot allow your personal biases or beliefs to influence your delegate's position in the debate.
Moving back to the idea of amendments. Amendments essentially allow delegates to revise and edit the resolution to better improve the proposals and fit their desired stance. Delegates have the option to strike a clause or any specifics within it, add or insert a clause or subclause, or modify a present clause by inserting or rephrasing the wording of it. When an amendment is submitted, the chair will set a debate time for and against the amendment.
Similar to a resolution, amendments will be debated on through speeches and POIs, and will be voted on when the debating time elapses. After the voting of the amendment is finalized, the committee will return to the debate of the resolution as a whole.
Once debate on the resolution has finished, delegates will move on to the voting section of the debate. During this time, delegates will choose to vote for, against, or abstain based on the quality of the resolution and their taken stance.
Remember, if you choose precedent voting during roll call, you may not abstain during voting procedure. The rules of procedure in MUN are daunting, and they are overwhelming, especially for you first-year delegates.
But don't worry, because the more conferences you go to, the easier it will get.
I'm Dylan Sanders.
And I'm Junzhe Koh.
And on behalf of the SMIC Private Schools MUN program, thank you for watching. Make sure to tune in for the next video.